So, I finally received my driver after waiting for what felt like an eternity. Meow. I know. You've all heard me complain and moan about it for at least 5 videos, and now it's finally here. And I have switched up teams after playing a Callaway driver for the past 3 years.
In this fall, I'm going to take my talents to South Beach.
Driving has actually become the second weakest part of my game, and I'm excited to have something that inspires me to want to practice, especially considering how much I paid for this damn thing. So let's talk about that big stick right now. Thank you very much for tuning into my YouTube channel. My name is Kenny. Some of you may know me as Kennie Kat. I am a competitive golfer, and my goal is to help you improve your golf faster by learning from some of my successes and also some of my failures. If you want to know what training aids, what practice guides, what things I'm working on with my coach that could possibly help you improve your golf sooner, hit that subscribe button below. I release new content every single week. Make sure to stay tuned to the end of this video where I'll pick the winners from last week's contest and see which of you two are going to get a free lesson with Kurt. All right, let's jump into it. So, after testing basically every driver on the market in my fitting, we came to the conclusion that, drum roll please, the TaylorMade Sim 2 was the best driver for me. We'll get into those specs shortly. I was fit at True Spec Golf, and I will do a review on my fitting now that I've had some time to play with the clubs and give some of my feedback. Spoiler alert, it was a pretty good fitting. And I went into this fitting with a basic goal for the driver. And I also want a driver that's going to give me a very confident feel and allow me to basically swing it as hard as I want while still trusting that it's going to find the planet or the fairway or still be in play. And 100 plus swings later, this is the combination we landed on. Hold on, let me get my build sheet because I have no idea what's in this club. And don't add me in the comment sections below with that, you don't know what's in your clubs? No, I don't. My job is to hit functional golf shots, not custom fit clubs. That's why I paid a professional club fitter. All right, so here we go. Got my build sheet. It is the TaylorMade Sim 2 driver in 9 degrees of loft, and it is the Acura Tour Z TZ6 65 M4. What the hell? Are those directions, or is that a golf product? Like, that literally sounds like a postal code in Canada and a motorway in the UK. Shout out to my Canadian UK viewers. See, all Americans aren't idiots. Some of us have been outside of the country and even seen some places. Maybe studied a few things. So let's talk about how we got this driver. We started with my current driver, the Callaway Big Bertha, which honestly does a very good job. I'm able to get decent club head speed and on good strikes 286 yards of total distance, which is more than enough for what I need right now to be competitive. But with the Callaway, I occasionally hit a hook, which is a no-go for me as a fader of the golf ball. We started off with the Ping G425, which was a very, very solid driver. Ping was so good that my club fitter Eric had me retested even after I was basically sold on the Sim 2. The start line was more consistent and he could easily tweak the driver settings to get a little bit more distance out of it, but I couldn't buy the Ping for one reason. It's too forgiving and too stable of a driver. I know. Bear with me for a second, I know that sounds absolutely ridiculous, but hear me out. Even when I was hitting that club out the toe, and I'm talking about half of the ball was barely on the face of the driver and like the other half was on like the outside of the driver, I couldn't feel how poor my strikes were. Every single strike felt like it was solid and out the middle of the club face. And while that may be a great selling point for most, golfers, I know that that would only make me a worse ball striker because I would start to believe that my absolute poor strikes were good strikes, and then a month down the line, I'd put some, foot powder spray on the face, and I'd realize that what I thought was a center strike was actually, an inch and a half out the toe. Moving on to the TSI-2. I didn't hate it, but I didn't really love it. The very glossy finish was putting me off because I could see the lights overhead in the studio reflecting, which made me wonder, I'm like, in the Arizona with no clouds and the sun sitting right above, there's no way that this is not reflecting off the top of this driver and just glaring like straight into my eye. Other than that, the driver was solid and it gave some decent numbers, just not my particular cup of tea. Then we moved on to the Cobra Red, which I don't know what it is about this driver and I still can't explain it, but I hated this. And I play a lot of Cobra Woods and Cobra Hybrids. The looks were fantastic. I love the paint scheme. It just didn't perform for me or feel good in any way, shape, or form. Like, I've never tossed a club back onto the rack so quickly and went to Eric and basically was like, don't ever show me this club for the rest of my entire existence on the face of this earth. Like, I never want to see it again. I don't even want to hear about it. I know that's a very harsh criticism, but hey, Cobra, I've got another 7 or 8, I've got another 4 or 5 clubs in my bag from you, so it's not that you make bad clubs. This one just wasn't my cup of tea and it just did not work for me at all. Then we moved on to the Callaway Epic Max LS. Man, these clubs have like, the names are just getting so much longer. Like, I feel like by the 5th generation, there's gonna be like the Callaway Epic Flash Star Max LS. Like, it's just like, these names are a mouthful. Like, just, I might get some heat for this comment, but I couldn't tell any difference between that driver and the Callaway that I already own other than the sound. It had almost identical launch, it had identical spin, the delivery numbers were pretty much the same, and I'm sure if I wasn't fatigued from a gazillion, driver swings, I bet that they would have had almost identical distances as well. I really couldn't justify spending $550 on a brand new driver that was basically the same driver I already have with the same color scheme and just some new badges.
Wait, don't be fooled. She's just a regular Malibu Stacy with a stupid cheap hat. She still embodies all the awful stereotypes she did before.
But she's got a new hat.
Which brings us to the Sim 2. There was a part of me that had a bias for this club, and in my opinion, it's the sexiest and the coolest driver on the market. All the big names in golf play this club, Roy McIlroy, Dustin Johnson, etc., etc. But none of that really mattered. It came down to 3 simple facts. 1, the contrast of the top line with the black face really helps me line up the club better. I didn't know this until I started hitting the TaylorMade driver. I've never actually hit a lot of TaylorMade drivers, but that is something that visually suits my eye. 2, this driver is almost impossible for me to hook unless I really try. I'm talking about I've got to forcibly try to close the face to get this thing to turn over. And as a fader of the golf ball, I want my shots to always start left and move back right. This driver does not hook unless I do something absolutely wrong. 3, the high toe miss for me was consistently staying tighter than I expected. Maybe twist face works, maybe the marketing is true, I don't know, but after playing with it on the course and in tournament conditions, I'm seeing the exact same thing as well. That really nasty high toe shot where the club face just twists, for me, is still staying relatively decent and inbounds, and it's a ball that I struggle with because it is my really bad miss. But with this driver, yeah, it's just working out. It stays on the planet and I'm able to find the ball and advance it up to the green. So hashtag twist face. We tested a bunch of different shafts, which I'll put up on the screen. And when I test clubs, I test them blindly because if you tell me a club is supposed to do something, I'm going to subconsciously react to that. And I'm sure I'm no different than many other golfers down that screen. Like, you hear something subconsciously and you react to it. What I did find is that the current Acura shaft, I'm never going to get that name right. It just is what it is. If you're the company that makes that shaft and you happen to watch this video, I apologize. I love your product. I just can't get your name right. It felt very smooth and stable through the hitting area, and no matter how hard I swung, the ball would always fade with the occasional slight pull with a little bit of a draw, but nothing that would, alarm me as to like, I don't feel confident to swing this club full out with as much force and intensity as I have. I was sold on the combination, and just as I was looking at the shaft, I started to get that inkling in the back of my mind. I'm like, Kenny, this shaft is like glittery and it's got like a really nice speckly paint job on it. I'm like, this is one of those shafts that people go ooh and ah about. And I'm thinking to myself, first of all, when the hell did Acura start making golf shafts?
What's a ZJ?
If you have to ask, big man, you can't afford it.
So finally, Eric rang me up, and the total was $1,011.37.
Good Lord, that's a lot of money.
So yeah, that happened. But you know what? I'm the type of player that once I find something I like, I leave it alone. So I know that this driver will be in the bag for easily the next 3 or 4 years. And after several practice rounds and a few competitions with this driver, I can say that my dispersion is much better and I feel completely confident with this club in my hand, which if you had come to me a few months ago and said, Kenny, for $1,000, I can give you a driver swing off the tee box or whatever have you that's going to keep you in play, you're going to feel confident, and you're going to consistently hit the club 270 plus yards or more, even on your bad strikes, I would have happily given you $1,000 for that result. So I'm very happy with my purchase, and I'm a very happy customer, and I'm just excited that I have something that really inspires me to actually practice my driver because, full disclosure, I don't practice my driver. Like, I hate sitting on a driving range. It's like the most boring and mundane thing in the world. And 2, if I am on a driving range, I hit maybe 4 or 5 drives and then I just go on to other clubs in the bag. So now that I've got this in the bag, it kind of gives me that, incentive of like, hey, you spent a lot of money on it, so you better go out and practice it. Also, I get the added benefit of looking like I know what I'm doing with the super expensive shaft. And when people ask me how much I paid for it, I get to be that guy.
Nice car. What's the retail on one of those?
More than you can afford, pal. Ferrari.
I am such a tool. All right, time to pick the winners of last week's contest. And we are going to choose our first random winner. Anthony Allen. All righty. I'm going to go ahead and send you a message as well. Make sure to send me an email, Anthony, and we will go ahead and get you set up with your free promo code to get that lesson from Kurt. And let's go ahead and choose one more random winner. Jimmy Urias. Is it Urias? I apologize if I mispronounced that, Jimmy, but I will also send you a comment in the sections below on that video and let you know that you've won. Send me an email and I will get you that promo code that you can use for the Skillest app. And that way you both will be able to get a free lesson with Kurt. If you've made it this far to the video, please do hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, leave a comment below. It definitely helps the channel grow. And I am going to be continuing to put my money where my mouth is. My goal is to help some of you down that lens get better. So as I start to get more training aids and I start to get access to some of these things, I'm going to be spending some of that money out of my pocket and the little YouTube money that they do give me to give away some of those training aids to you down that lens. Some of the stuff I test can be really helpful. And again, it just goes into my ethos of I started this channel to not only just share my journey, but to also help, the average golfer down that lens that maybe doesn't have as much time or resources to dedicate to the game as I do. So I'm going to use some of my resources to help you down that lens. So as we do more training aids, I'll be giving away those as we review more training aids and products. So if you have a training aid that you want to see reviewed, hit me down in that comment section below. I'll do my best to fit that into my content calendar. That's really all I got for you. As always, thank you very much for watching my YouTube channel. Deuces, people. Let's keep it moving.